What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more U2, and we're back for the final tune on their 1987 album, The Joshua Tree, which is Mothers of the Disappeared. And my mind, as a historian as I am, immediately goes to Madres de la Plaza, or just de Plaza de Mayo, which is to say the activist organization that emerged during the Argentine dictatorship of the late 70s to the early 80s, where as many as 30,000 or more people were disappeared by the junta military dictatorship, and there were all sorts of extrajudicial killings and disappearances. And they were an organization that fought for the public acknowledgement of what the government was doing, and in some cases they were able to find evidence that people had in fact been disappeared by agents of the military or their paramilitary functionaries. And I think over time, by like the early 2000s, maybe 2005 or 2006, they engage in one of their last marches, and eventually the government by that time repealed some of the laws that absconded or eliminated any responsibility for military and police that had been involved in those disappearances. So again, political disappearances have happened in countries and often around the world, and often after coups or situations where government is taken over unlawfully. But given the specific phrasing here, I would not be surprised to learn that we're talking about the Argentine disappearances between, what was it, like 77 and 83, something like that. So I'll see what I can pick up on a first listen. This is U2, the track is Mothers of the Disappeared, and it's the final tune on their 1987 album, The Joshua Tree. Grating or rattling sound, some intensity to it. I'm assuming that was synth bass, perhaps just bass with an effect on it, but yeah, definitely sounding more multi layered than some of their early stuff, which don't get me wrong, I've enjoyed the stuff from the very first album, but that felt more straight away, pop rock music, whereas here it sounds like this layered, textured, electronic infused sonic palette. But whatever the nature of that bass, yeah, a less vocal heavy tune, definitely some vocals and lyrics, but the majority of the tune had an instrumental arrangement. What I did hear, a woman hanging, I think, in a tree, and the mother's crying, maybe like screams or wails happening on the other side of a wall. It does sound like we're talking about political crimes against humanity and disappearances of opponents of the regime and so on. And I didn't hear anything specifically that would suggest it was about the mothers of the Plaza de Mayo, but some of the guitar almost had like a Latin American feel, so that's still my guess. I suppose some of the lines could be applied to any such situation in any country around the world or in any era when that has happened. But again, if there's a direct reference here, that's still my guess. It felt like at some point the tune was rising and ascending such that, we can say maybe it's about the souls of those disappeared people, rising beyond what had happened and perhaps being redeemed in that way. So, curious to hear what people have to say about this one. A very dramatic and emotional end to the album in a different way that the opening tune was dramatic, where the streets have no name, but similarly uplifting despite maybe the heavy subject matter of the song. So a very cool album, definitely a transitional album, one that I think goes beyond anything I had heard from them before sonically. And obviously, their songs have been about very personal and or significant concepts from the beginning, but it does feel like this album saw an expansion where they're talking about different things, different specific events and processes globally, and maybe a bit less personal than Boy or some of their early work. So yeah, looking forward to the next album. Very cool to go through U2's catalog and get a much fuller understanding of what I would come to hear in the mid-90s when, there was a brief period where I was hearing some of their songs on the radio and, seeing at least a couple videos on MTV. I mentioned before the video for Numb, I think the video for Lemon. These were things that I did see as a teenager in the 90s, but it was like, oh, okay, so this is U2 and Bono and so on, but I really didn't know what I was dealing with at the time. So cool to go back to the beginning and get, build the foundation up to understand when I get back to that. So in any case, from Luca and I, who apparently is going to bail now, let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Peace.